I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. It's the Crunkest show in social media history. Hold on a second. Uh, and I want to welcome you to the show and tell you thank you for taking the time out to tune in. Because without you guys, I wouldn't have a show. And it's really, really important that we have these discussions on a nightly basis. And shoot, man. Hopefully if you're in Harris County, Houston, Texas, hopefully you have been able to stay out of the cold weather and stay out of the rain. It was a nasty, nasty day. And I'm always trying to make sure that my friends are safe. And I want you to share this video because tonight we're going to talk about two different topics. We're going to talk about the Houston Independent School District, and then we're going to talk about the Enough is Enough crew who will be protesting tomorrow at Commissioner's Court in regards to this messed up election we just had. And in some people's eyes, it was a perfect election. And in a lot of people's eyes, it was another flawed election. The Houston Independent School District, as you know, is the school district that I went to school in. It's the school district that at least 184,000 kids go to school every day in. Countless numbers of teachers, bus drivers, administrators, bust their behinds to make this school district the best school district in the state of Texas, which we are not. But they give it a shot every day to try to do that. If you didn't know, we got a new superintendent. And after doing countless hours of research, I figured out they're trying to set him up. I was tough on him when he got here. You goddamn right I was tough on him. But they set out to set him up, and they've done it perfectly. But in the process, they've started what they normally start when they're trying to get a bond passed and all the stuff that they are in cahoots with. And I'm going to show you exactly what's going on. Let me move this so you can see this. HISD facing declining enrollment and looming deficit, sparking concerns of school closures. Sparking concerns of school closures. Didn't I say this before school started? Well, let me tell you who I am. I'm the guy that seems to have his finger on the pulse when it comes to education in this county as well as surrounding counties. I know a lot more than people will ever give me credit for. But I called this before school started that we would be looking at trying to close schools. Now, if you noticed or if you haven't paid attention over the years, and I think it's been about a 15-year span, I think since 2007, if I'm correct, they've closed 84 schools. But 84 of the schools that they closed were Black and brown schools. They didn't close any white schools. They said some of them were underperforming, some of them were under-enrolled. Highly successful African-American monastery schools, they closed. And they didn't have a reason as to why they did it. It's always about the money. It's always about the money. And as you can see with the title of that article, declining enrollment and looming deficit. Why would we have a looming deficit? Well, a few years back, they wanted to vote for recapture. We voted it down. They came back and they did it again, made it sound real sexy. And then they ended up passing the proposition to put our school district in recapture. The Fort Penn Independent School District just went through this the other day at the election polls, and they voted down the proposal that they had that would have included them going into recapture. And I was one of those guys that was beating that drum. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you go into recapture, you are basically about to bankrupt your school district. So recapture was one of the main reasons we are where we are today, because we're sending tons and tons of money, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars back to the state of Texas on a yearly basis for whatever the reason. It doesn't make sense to me. They take our money, they give it to a school district in a rural area that, tends to build water parks with our money, auditoriums, nothing pertaining to education. So you'll take our money and go spend it on them and let them just piss it away and then explain to us this is how we have to do it. Okay, so now we're at a point. How did we get to this point of school closures? And let me show you, because I want to be able to show you this. Let's go down a little bit on this article. And as you can see, the superintendent Millard House. And let's look at this article. As Houston Independent School District faces a projected $217 million deficit by 2025, and declining enrollment, the district could soon undergo major changes and possibly including school closures. So a $217 million deficit. $217 million. How does that happen? It's a lot of things that have to happen. Well, one is you needed to give the teachers raises. Okay, cool. Two, you ended up hiring a bunch of high dollar positions in the district office that we did not need. You used ESSER money, whatever the hell it's called, the federal COVID relief money. You used that to pad the books and say, well, we're going to give all this money away. Okay, so basically, you hired all these people with money that you would not have after next year. Let me get a close-up view of y'all. You hired these people knowing that you would have no way to pay them because you're using COVID money after next year. So 2025 is after. You get 2 years of this COVID money. And then in 25, you got to make some decisions. Well, hold on. Ain't that what I said when it first came up? You're not going to be able to sustain this. You won't be able to pay these people. And either you're going, and my exact words were, you're either going to have to fire a bunch of people or you're going to have to close schools. That's the reason a lot of people wanted me on the school board, because I understand it. Look, what you can't do is go out there with Impala money trying to buy a Maserati. Now, if they dumb enough to give you that Maserati, which they know they'll just be taking your money, your down payment, and you won't be able to afford your $3,000 a month car note, what happens when you can't pay it? They come and they pick it up. So when you hired all these people, a la Rick Cruz, deputy superintendent, who hired 60 of his friends, you're going to try to keep those 60 friends and close our schools. I told y'all it was coming. It's not rocket science. It's economics. It's basic mathematics. And now you want to close the school. So let's go back to the article and let's see exactly what these people are actually talking about. All right. During the November 10th board meeting, HISD Superintendent Millard House III gave an update on his plan for district transformation, one that he said is needed to keep the district financially afloat. Although nothing is set in stone, The possibility of school closures has sparked major concerns among trustees and parents at the meeting. Okay, here we go. Since fiscal year 2016-17, HISD enrollment has decreased 12.1%, while the number of schools decreased 4.5. On average, HISD now serves 58 fewer students, a decrease of 8% according to HISD data. If the trend continues and enrollment reductions outpace cost-saving efforts, the cost to educate an HISD student will continue to grow, House said. Let's continue. Let me take it up a little bit. Okay, we're going to go down one. Over time, we're spending more money on fixed costs like buildings and utilities than individual students, House said. The stat that always sticks out to me is that the last time we were in this particular enrollment where we are now is 1984. The issue of enrollment loss is one that has become more prevalent in urban areas across the nation, he said. Let's go. In order to address recruiting and teacher retention, HISD increased compensation this year with temporary money, I might add. However, in doing so, cost growth has led to an increasing deficit, according to HISD data. The deficit for fiscal years 22 and 23 and 23 and 24 will be partially offset through elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds, money that was given to schools as a COVID-19 relief. Remember, I told you the COVID money. The deficit for these years will be about 31 million and 97 million. So 31 million in 22-23, that's the deficit, and then 97 million in 23-24, respectively. But it's expected to grow to 217 million for fiscal year 24-25. All right. House said the $217 million deficit projection is a result of two things. The expiration of ESSER funds and the small school subsidy. Let's stop right there. ESSER funds. Why are you trying to operate a school district on temporary money? Money that will not be there in 25. So all these raises that y'all got, enjoy them for about a year and a half now, because you won't have a job in 24-25. It won't happen. So let's go back to reading. All right. Without ESSER funds, potential investments that the general fund will need to cover include tutorial stipends, wraparound specialists, and technology upgrades. As for the subsidy, the SSS small school subsidy provides supplemental funding for nearly half of the HISD schools. When enrollment decreases, more schools are subsidized, and as small schools enrollment decreases, the subsidies cost more on a per student basis. For fiscal year 22-23, small school subsidies funds are expected to reach $32.5 million, or about $600 per student. Without change in the without change in the cost structure, the deficit will repeat each year as enrollment continues to decline, House said. That's expected to be the case for the next 5 to 10 years, according to HISD projections. Some fear that closing small schools will directly affect under-resourced communities. When the district removes programs from schools, neighborhoods suffer, Kathy Buford Daniels, second vice president of the HISD school board, said. She represents District 2, where there have been 5 school closures over the past 10 years. It's another attempt to close schools in poor neighborhoods where parents don't have a voice, said Ruth Kravitz, co-founder of the Houston-based Community Voices for Public Education. I want to know, HISD built so many purposely small schools in the last 10 years, yet at the same time, we're closing small schools in poor neighborhoods. LaShaylin Brown, a mother of a 3-year-old and a longtime Sunnyside resident, spoke of her own experience within HISD. From a young age, she realized the difference in her school versus other HISD schools. When it came time for high school, she's decided to go to a school in a wealthier neighborhood. She had not done that. Had she not done that, she would not have had access to as many opportunities, Brown said. Even as a kid, I knew schools in my community were not kept up. All children should have equal rights to schools. They deserve an education along with the resources they need to succeed. Although much of the conversation during the meeting focused on school closure, House said he doesn't want to focus on that. He said the transformation is only the beginning of the conversation, and the school closures will not cover all financial needs for the district. As HISD moves forward with decision making, he plans to continue to engage community and stakeholders. School closings is not what this is all about, House said. I ran for the school board. I told people while I was running. The plan was, this is a year in advance of this article coming out. The plan was to close schools. Do you really think that they're going to allow them to close schools in River Oaks? That's not going to happen. So where will these school closures come from? The Black and the brown community. Kathy Buford Daniels, HISD trustee, is over District 2. Myrna Guidry is over District 9. And lastly, Patricia Allen is over District 4. Those cuts will come from those districts, along with probably Elizabeth Santos's district, which is highly Latino populated. I have to sit here and say, I told you so. I have to be able to be honest and say, I told you so. See, the one thing we have to start doing is stop criticizing the messenger. When God tells me to tell you something, I tell you. But because you don't like me, because you don't like my delivery, you choose not to listen. I told you so. I told you this was going to happen. I told you that they're going to come with a bond. They're going to come with redistricting. They're going to have community meetings in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks over redistricting. I told you this was coming a year in advance. So what do we do now? Do we expect for the head soldier in charge to get out here and bust his head open? Now that we finna face this and you didn't want to listen to me? Nah, I don't think that's how that's gonna work. See, because what I don't like doing, I hate repeating myself. Honestly, I'm not saying this to get views. I have a pet peeve about repeating myself. I don't like doing it, and therefore, I am not going to be the savior. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's going to take everybody. And if everybody doesn't want to stand up, your schools are going to close, and a whole bunch of you people are going to lose your jobs. Did the union tell you that when they were out there gunning for those raises with ESSER funds? So when the ESSER funds are gone, what happens to your money? Nothing. They're not going to decrease the salaries. They're going to get rid of the bodies. Exactly like I told you. But see, you know more. You listen to Ruth Kravitz and CVPE. You listen to all these different organizations telling you what you should and shouldn't be doing. But you don't listen to the one man that ain't never been wrong. So now I'm supposed to stop my life, go to war in a war that I can actually win because y'all don't want to listen. It's not going to work like that. I love my life right now. I haven't been to a board meeting in over 5 months. I love my life right now. And I'm not going to stop living to help a situation because you stakeholders, you parents, you people that really have a voice don't want to open your mouth. You don't want to look bad. You want me to be the bad guy all the time. Well, I'm tired of being the bad guy. I'm tired of having my reputation destroyed. You feeling what I'm saying? So here's the thing. I told you this would happen. I told you exactly how it would happen. And now they're starting a conversation. Well, I'm going to give you some advice. We don't need to have a conversation. What we need to stand firm on is you're not closing our schools. You've never given our children on our side of town what you've given the children on the other side of town. Now, am I mad at those parents and those kids on the other side of town, the affluent white neighborhoods that get what they want while we don't get anything? No. I'm mad at us. Because while they were getting it, we wasn't doing shit about it and our kids wasn't getting anything. It's a way to stop it. Trust me when I tell you. It's a way to stop it. It's a way to stop it and demand what your tax dollars already pay for, which is a quality education for your children. Your children are not getting a quality education. There's so much racism inside of the boardroom, especially in closed session. There's so much racism that exists. It is so much of the Latinos in the boardroom wanting to be empowered. I'm gonna just tell you what it is. That they shit on black kids all day long. But then they come out and they act like we should all stick together. Hold on a second, baby. If you ain't riding with me in the dark, I ain't riding with you in the light. I need the black trustees to stand up. And finally, let's go to war. Because it's going to take all of us. And that includes the trustees too. It is time for us to stand up and say that if your school has turf and lights, then our school should have turf and lights. If your school has 25 district funded activities after school, then our school should have 25. See, parents are not taking their children out of low performing black schools and brown schools because they just like taking that drive every morning. They want their children to get a better education, so they run to the other side of town. When are we going to start getting a better education in our community? When are we going to give the poor children the same opportunities that you're giving the rich children? When are we going to start treating black children the same as we treat white children? When are we going to start treating Latino children and immigrant children the same as we treat white and Asian children? When are we going to demand this? When we all decide to stand up, then 5 Star will stand up. See, generals don't fight wars. We got armies behind us. And if I'm the guy that's armed with all the knowledge, I need the army behind me. And when I say move a certain way, that's the way you got to move. When I say stand a certain way, that's the way you got to stand. And that's what it has to be. So in the process, we are having the UUAA is coming. I'm getting the old band back together. Y'all know the Urban? Remember the group they couldn't figure out who was in the group? Remember that? Remember I was the front man that was raising all the hell, and I had all these high-powered people behind me that knew everything and had all the knowledge and could break the data down. We getting the old band back together. and we're going to sit down this Saturday. And if God tells me to move, then I'll move. But if God tells me not to move, I'm going to pray for your children, because they are going to destroy them with what they're doing. So what's the biggest problem in the Houston Independent School District? Deputy Superintendent Rick Cruz. He's the biggest problem. He's the smartest guy in the room. When in all actuality, this dude ain't never been in the classroom as a teacher's aide. He's never been a teacher. He's never been an assistant principal. He's never been a teaching specialist. He's never been a principal. He's never been an area soup. He's never been an SSO. So how in the hell are you the deputy superintendent and you making all these calls? Now everybody want to jump down the throat of Millard House III, and I'm guilty of wanting to jump down his throat when he first got here. But as I said, I've done my research. And Millard, what you're guilty of is you rubber stamp too much shit that comes from Rick Cruz. Rick Cruz is not your friend. Rick Cruz wants your job. And the only way that he can get it, you got a tank. And the way he got it set up right now, you are prepared to tank faster and sink quicker than the Titanic itself. Now, once you do that, you will never get another job as a superintendent in this country. What is the biggest problem in HISD? Is it decreased enrollment? Is it too many schools? Is it recapture payments? No, it's Rick Cruz, deputy superintendent. So, Mr. Superintendent, let me tell you what you could do. Mr. Cruz is on a year-to-year contract. He doesn't have a multi-year contract, and we don't have to buy him out, so, a la your contract. Won't you riff his ass? It's called a reduction in force. Why don't you riff him at the end of the year? Because we don't need him anymore. And then why don't we all get together, a nice group of us, and save our school district? Now, your ego cannot play into this. What I mean by your ego cannot play into this, you can't get upset and say, this Negro up here, he done disrespected me. Who cares at this point? You say you want this district to be successful. If I know this much and I can call a spade a year in advance, you really don't think I have the ideologies in my head on how to save it? For every one of those people out there that say, F Gary Monroe, he just think he know everything. Well, some days I actually do. And if I don't know nothing, I've mastered education. I've mastered education to the highest degree. Yes, I have. So here's my thing. We cannot keep operating this school district the way that we are operating it. It has nothing to do with the number of kids that you have. And if you want to scream small school subsidies, I get it. Do I believe in my heart that some schools should be closed? We have too many. We have too many. And we've had too many for a long, long time. But at the same time, we have to be equitable on how we close them. And I've said from day one, if you want to close a black one, identify a white one, close that one too. Identify one that caters to the Latino community, close that one too. Identify one that caters to the Asian community, close that one too. So can't nobody be upset when they school get got. Because white folk, I got something to tell you. You ain't closing all them black schools, bro. It ain't gonna happen. I don't have to guess on it. I know this. It ain't gonna happen. So if you can't close them and we won't allow it to happen, and you keep operating the way that you operating, then I'm going to look like a prophet, because you're going to bankrupt the Houston Independent School District. Did we have these issues with the prior interim superintendent? Fuck no. Do I think she should come back? Hell yeah. Because you need somebody that understands and knows exactly what to do. Sometimes we get in over our head because we want the money. See, you don't just bring anybody in here, and that's not talking down on house, but you can't just bring anybody in here to deal with the issues that we have. You got to have an expert that knows how to make wine out of water. That's where we are. You saw it firsthand. They want to close schools. And I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes certain things move me to react. If you think that you're going to close all these black schools and we're going to sit by quietly, it won't happen. But I'm going to operate within my skin. And I'm going to sit back like the general that I am. And they gave me the name 5-star because I battled harder than they've ever seen anybody battle for education. This is going to be a standoff at the OK Corral. And I'm rocking with the Earth Brothers. I don't know how y'all coming on that side, but I know what I got on my side. And when I call the soldiers to the field, it's going to be hell to pay the captain. So what I recommend is that these conversations that you're about to have for like 30, 40 minutes, an hour at the most, please don't think that when we come through the door with the bitches, gripes, and complaints, that that's all it's going to be. No, it ain't. And for you older cats out there that think you still run everything, excuse my French, but sit your old ass down and take a seat and watch the show. We don't need you in there, Uncle Tom. We don't need you in there with your ideologies from the 50s and the 60s, because this ain't the 50s and the 60s. And we are not our ancestors. Some of us were born to be warriors. So if you're ready, then bring it. But if you ain't, then the only thing I can tell you, get your motherfucking mind right. Because this ain't what you want. This ain't what you want. You don't want this smoke. Trust me when I tell you. It ain't going to go like you think. So we might need to sit down and start having some real conversations. And the name of my company is Monroe Consultation LLC. I don't have a problem being a consultant, but I will never sell out my people. And my people are the little ones, the black little ones, the white little ones, the Asian little ones, the Latino little ones, the immigrant little ones, even the transgender little ones. I don't give a damn, but I will never sell the kids out for you grown ass folk who keep playing politics and games with the lives of our children. It is what it is. Now, you know, tomorrow at Commissioner's Court, the Enough is Enough crew is going to be out protesting, as well as going inside of Commissioner's Court to speak on the last election, which to me was nothing more than a cluster. The governor of Texas has called for an independent investigation into the last election. There were a lot of things that happened, y'all, that did not seem normal. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the governor is calling on the big dogs to launch a full-scale investigation. But the Enough is Enough crew will be outside of Commissioner's Court tomorrow morning protesting, and will go into Commissioner's Court to speak. It's going to be a grand affair, and I will be downtown recording live, broadcasting this live on the War Zone or the Hood See It In, whichever one I choose to. But I will be down there in that freezing cold with my people, protesting right alongside of them. Democracy is what it is. There was a time when my people could not vote. There was a time when my people were beaten trying to cast their vote. So don't speak to me about democracy when my people are a part of the situation that is stealing our democracy. I will not stand with anyone who does it. We should have a right to put the people in office that deserve to be in office, and not people who certain people feel are the best fit. What makes them feel that way? Well, I tell you what. Maybe they got some skin in the game we don't know about. Something going on to where we think that these people can count whole states, and our county doesn't finish counting for 3 to 4 days. That doesn't even make sense. So there's definitely something going on. I've been saying it. And I say it at a degree that nobody can ever say. What you need to be asking yourself is this: if somebody named Joe Blow comes out and say that they're cheating in elections, they will crucify him. Why they won't crucify me? Because they know I know. They know I know. You know what? I wasn't even talking about football, but I'm going to address you. Since you came to me, I'm going to address you. You speak about Yates football, but academically they are failing. When will you highlight academics rather than football? You should listen to you. What have you done to support these schools? I'm through even talking. I'm not even finna read that foolishness. Because if you don't know, then that's the reason you wrote what you wrote. What have I done? I don't even have to go through the list. It would take too long. I don't have to go through the list. And I love it when you come on here, Joe, with your fake page. I love when you come on with your fake page. So now we're going to do what we normally do, and we're going to ignore you. Because once again, these are one of the Negroes that don't have a problem with what I'm saying. They got a problem with anything that I say. Hold on just a second, you guys. Let's take care of this because it's simple. It's not even hard. Hold on a second. Keep writing. Keep writing. Let's go here. I want you to keep talking. Keep writing. It's a joke. Let's go here. Let's go here. Third grade education. Your mama got a third grade education. I said your mama got a third grade education. You can't even type. Learn how to spell my name. and then we could talk. Hold on a second. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Hold on, y'all. This is a simple fix. Hold on a second. Okay. Yeah, I do. I only got 10. That's why you keep popping up in here on different profiles, because I only got 10. Hold on a second, y'all. It's this simple. Hold on. Hold on. Here we're going to go here. Okay. The distractions are gone. You know what the sad part is? I know exactly who's doing that. And they want to come on here with the foolishness, and I got a third grade education. And I actually do. I actually do have a third grade education. Hold on a second. Let's go somewhere. Hold on a second, cuz. Okay. All right. You right here. I'm going to stop this screen. I'm going to go here. Let's share screen. Hold on a second. All right. Let me see if you're there. Okay, so you're there. So now we're going to go here. What I'm doing is I'm logging in to my actual Lamar account. So we're logging into the Lamar account, and I'm going to make it as big as I can make it for you guys. These are my actual grades for anybody that wants to know if I have a third grade education. Let's see. Ethical issues, 282 out of 300, that's an A. 422 out of 560, that's an A. So I'm still in there. Responses for crime, 429 out of 498, that's an A. Campus violence, that's a B. Criminal justice, community studies, I think that's an A. It'll keep loading. So before you come on here and you try to ever in your life tell me I'm uneducated, well, these are not A's from 20 years ago. I'm in college right now. So I don't know what a C looks like. I don't know what a C looks like. Now, I will challenge whoever this person is that likes to come on under fake profiles. You have the opportunity to come on with me. Come on, hang out on here with me. You don't have the guts to show the people who you are. You don't have the nuts to have an intellectual conversation. And you want to know why? Because this same little dumb guy that you claim is so stupid and so dumb, I will literally eat your ass for dinner. So anybody that wants to figure out what type of grades I got in school, that is right there. That's some of them. We ain't gonna keep showing that. But don't come on here and act like I don't know what I'm talking about. But see, when we're talking about trying to get black folk together, when we're talking about trying to take care of our black babies, you always have a sellout Negro that wants to come in with the foolishness. And this is why we are where we are, because people don't want to relinquish. They don't want to relinquish the batons. They don't want to give them up and give them to somebody else that can actually help us. They want us to stay where we are as a people. They want us to keep begging for everything that we get as a people. They want us to stay in the ghetto neighborhoods as a people. This is what we deal with, the crabs in a barrel mentality. And I'm the problem. Just the point to say, what have I done for schools? We would never go over that. That's a waste of time. I know what I've done, and I don't have to prove anything to anybody. Go play with your mama. Go play with your mama and play with your daddy, if that is your daddy, because your mama probably was a hoe. I said what I said, and I ain't taking it back. And I mean what I said. So enough is enough will be downtown tomorrow, 9 o'clock a.m., protesting, as well as we need to keep a watch on this school system because it is what it is. And as usual, my friends, it's the war zone. And I'm the 5-star general. And for those that don't like it, you can literally kiss my. Have a great night.